Hello everyone, this is Chelsea from Those With Words. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to share my folding process or a quick tutorial of how I made this mini paper bin, which I use to store various paper pieces and trash while I journal. I made this one that I'm showing you a couple of years ago, and I've had a few requests to do a YouTube video on this since then, so I'm going to be sharing that with you today. Here's a quick size comparison with a Traveler's Company brass clip as well as a Traveler's Company passport size traveler's notebook. I will also link the original blog tutorial down below that I followed for this, which is from Gathering Beauty. The one I made is about maybe like 2.75 inches by 2.75 inches, at least where the opening is of the paper bin. There's also a really great foldable tutorial by Rainbowholic TV, and I think everybody knows Rainbowholic, but I will also link that tutorial down below. This one is a non-foldable one that I like to keep at my desk for journaling purposes. These are the tools and papers that I have that I'm just showing you now. I'm just trying to pick a square piece of paper to use for the Gathering Beauty tutorial. And basically this one, I have some leftover papers from the exact same paper poster that I bought a couple of years ago. And I originally cut these into square pieces thinking that maybe I'll use them as covers for Traveler's Notebook refill inserts, but I didn't end up making those. So this is a one-sided poster, and I just have some square cutouts of these. The ones I'm showing you now, they're about 9.5 inches by 9.5 inches. It's not perfectly square, as you might be able to notice. It's a little bit off, so it's a little bit, just a tiny bit wider, I think. Yeah, so I'm showing you in centimeters here. It's a little over 24 centimeters right there. But then on this side, it's exactly 24 centimeters. But that's okay. I am not super worried about the measurements for my personal use. It's just gonna be a small paper bin that I make for my own desk. I also have this bone folder, which I've had for a long time, and this will just help me really create some nice lines when I fold. It is not necessary for making a bin like this, but I find it really helpful. So the first step here is to fold the paper in half, both lengthwise and then widthwise. And the important thing is that whatever design, if you're using double-sided paper, whatever design you want to show up primarily when you're looking at the paper bin, you want that to face up top. So for me, using this paper is actually quite easy because it's only one-sided. So I'm just making sure that the design is facing up. And as you can see there, the bone folder is really handy for very crisp lines. Then afterwards, you want to do a diagonal fold, again on both sides. This is where the fact that this paper is slightly wider on one side, if you can see in the top right corner there, it's not perfectly aligning when I use the bone folder, but I just go ahead and fix that manually. Again, it's not gonna bother me too much. At the end of the day, a lot of these pieces will be tucked in to the final paper bin, and it won't really show up, at least some of the sharper edges. And to me, it's not really about making it super perfect, but making another functional, a little bit more structured paper bin, because the one I'm using right now is a few years old and getting a little bit softer from regular use. So there it is. I folded the other side. And afterwards, the tutorial asks you, or the blog post I'm referencing, asks you to turn it 45 degrees. And then this particular part is a little bit difficult to explain in words, but basically you fold it down in half and then you fold in these edges on the side, on both sides. And hopefully you can see clearly what I'm doing there, but using the existing creases, you're going to create this diamond shape. So you have these little flaps there at the end. And then you're going to turn it over so that it opens at the top. And you're going to take that first flap and fold it down halfway. I tried to first use my hands and then I remembered I had a bone folder, so that's where I'm really using that to create the crisp lines. Afterwards, you fold that paper back up and you only fold onto that existing crease line, so only about halfway. And then using the existing crease line, you just fold it over gently. And I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing on the opposite side. And this part I sped up a little since it's the exact same thing that I'm doing here. Then afterwards, you fold it over and you want to kind of, when you fold a paper plane, if you've folded it before, this is what it reminds me of, but you want to fold the pieces towards the middle. And for me particularly, when I was working on this part, I found that one of the sides with more paper layers underneath was a little bit difficult to fold nicely. So this part right here, I struggled a little bit on not just folding down the bottom part, but also making sure that the top parts really align into like a sharper edge. So feel free to take your time. I just, took my sweet time on this part just to make sure that I have as even and crisp lines as possible. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and go to the other side and do the exact same thing. Hopefully seeing the visuals is helpful for you because doing the voiceover, I'm finding that it's a little bit harder to describe than I initially expected. So after I finish that up, I'm going to take that sharp edge and just fold it all the way down to the bottom And this is kind of the fun part where you get to tuck in that sharper edge you just made into the flap that you created before. This part doesn't have to be perfect, and I didn't use the bone folder or anything like that. And then you go ahead and find the other side that you worked on and you do the same thing. You tuck that part in again. And afterwards, you just flip it around. And now all you have to do is open it up like so and really flatten out the bottom to create that bin space. Again, take your time here. I usually find that the edges don't really want to flatten out as easily, so I'm just making sure to take my time and flatten out everything as much as I can. Especially the corners there too, as you can see. They need a little more help popping out. And some of the edges, like that top edge you see there, needs a little more help, and that's where I just really take the time to puff those out so that the bin space is maximized. And there it is. Compared to the old one, I mean, it's pretty much the same size, which isn't surprising because I cut them from the same paper poster and I believe they were about equal size before I folded everything. But the older one, as you can see there, is getting a little flimsy just over time and regular use. And this one looks a little bit more crisp to me, which I'm excited to use while journaling again. I hope you found this folding process tutorial helpful, and I hope you have fun creating your own paper bin. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye.